Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Checkpoint Corner, our video game podcast. I'm your host, Ryan, and joined with me, like every week, we got Tyler. No,
Tyler is not with us this
Tyler's
week.
Not here.
Oh,
But we have Mathurin still.
Yeah.
Hey, Mathurin, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah, for all you Tyler fans, he's away. He's in LA, the big movie land, so he's not with us. So it'll be one voice less this week.
Yeah.
But how are you, Mathurin? You're good?
I'm good. Yeah. How are you?
I'm pretty good. You been
Nice.
playing any games this week?
I started Sunset Overdrive.
Oh, yes.
It's a pretty wacky, goofy game.
Did you get like a decent way into it, or?
I got to the quest now where I get the tea and Teddy. That's about as far as I got.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
You have a silly looking character.
I think my character looks very similar to yours.
Yeah.
Unintentionally. He's just a big muscular guy with a monkey shirt.
Oh, very awesome. Yeah, that game's just a lot of dumb fun. What have I been? So I beat a couple games. I've been playing through Crisis, and I beat the first one.
Nice.
It's okay. I didn't like it very much. It's kind of like, think of a generic shooter.
Yeah.
And that's Crisis, but I started Crisis 2, and it's way better than the first one.
Wow, yeah.
I'm not like really I love this game, but just the environments are better, the level design's better, everything looks more interesting than just kind of like the forest of the first one.
Huh,
So
interesting.
it's actually pretty fun. And then I beat LA Noire.
Nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I think it went on for a little too long, and the cases got repetitive, but it's pretty fun. I think that's all I did this week.
Yeah.
I played some little things here and there, but they're hardly worth mentioning.
Did a lot of gaming.
Yeah. It was kind of a gaming heavy week.
Nice.
Did you see that the Star Wars Old Republic remake got delayed indefinitely?
Indefinitely?
Yeah, I guess they fired some. I don't really know the exact details, but they fired some art department people,
Oh
and then
my
that delayed it
gosh.
indefinitely. So I'm a little worried.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I am excited for that game, and I do not want it to get canceled.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess anything else that you've done or need to bring up?
Not entirely, really. It's just mainly playing a bit of that and the same old games. Started a new Fallout New Vegas run
Oh yeah,
where I use explosives.
that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
How's that going?
The biggest challenge is just like having the explosives, because when you're encountered with any combat in that game with explosives, it just becomes like baby mode.
Yeah.
That's what I found out. But yeah, just like running out of stuff is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, trying to save up on that.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So we're going to talk, since Tyler's not here, we're going to talk about a series that's near and dear to our hearts, specifically.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Fire Emblem games. There's a lot of games to talk about.
Yeah.
But yeah, how did you get into the Fire Emblem
Oh,
games?
shoot.
I think we have very similar. We saw the characters in Smash Brothers,
Yeah. we saw
specifically
those.
Brawl.
Yeah, and then like Liam was kind of talking about it.
Your older
and-
brother.
Yeah, my older brother Liam, and he was saying something about that, and I can't remember if my first game was Fire Emblem Fates. What is it called?
Conquest or Birthright?
Yeah, it was Birthright, I think. I'm pretty sure that was my first game, and then closely followed with Awakening. But I still had a lot of fun with Birthright, even though it was baby easy, and I didn't realize like how bad it was until later.
Yeah, until you cut other games to compare it to.
Yeah,
Compare it to.
Yeah, but then I did play Awakening, and then I just went through the rest of the Fates, I guess.
Yeah.
And just a few more Fire Emblem games, and I love them now.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the series. I played a
Yeah.
lot. My first one was Awakening, because you got me into it and lended me the game.
Yeah,
And at first I
yeah.
was like, I don't know if this is really for me. And then I kind of, as I sunk my teeth deeper into it, it hooked me.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I've been playing all of them. Tried to play all of them. And they're just really fun.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just go by order of release. So yeah, the first one, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. The very first one in 1990
Wow. Yeah.
in Japan. It didn't get
Japan.
released in North America. They haven't been released. They didn't get a North America release until the 7th one, I think, which is the Blazing Blade.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that.
But I did
actually.
play the remake to this game, and but yeah, this is the very first one with everyone's friend Marth. But yeah, I haven't played this one, and neither have you.
Yeah.
And then in 1992, they released Fire Emblem Gaiden.
Gaiden, yeah.
And I played the remake to that one.
I also played the remake to that one, yeah.
The originals, I own them. Like, I own all the games physically.
Yeah.
Because I have a shrine dedicated to Fire Emblem. But yeah, I'm probably not going to play those original ones just because there's remakes I could play.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be hindered by the jankiness. And then the third one was Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem. So this is the sequel / remake to Shadow Dragon.
Right.
And I did play like the start of this one on an emulator. Didn't get very far.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
that one also has our friend Marth, 1994.
1994 Marth.
Mm-hmm. And then these two games, Genealogy of the Holy War, and then Thracia 776. I did play Genealogy. I think it was Genealogy because I own it.
Yeah.
For my SNES, and I played a little bit of it, and yeah, it's fun. It's like kind of they're kind of like the black sheep of the Fire Emblem franchise, just because they're so different mechanically.
Yeah, they also have kind of weird names.
yeah, and I just like the kind of the difference in gameplay.
Yeah,
I think it's unique. And then Fire Emblem: The Binding Blade. This is with Roy, 2002.
Oh yeah.
I haven't played. I think I played the start of this on an emulator. This one's said to be pretty difficult.
Really?
Yeah. I think Tyler, if he was here, he played through it. Don't know if he beat it, but yeah, that one's the sequel to the next one that comes out. And this one, I guess this one would be the prequel to Fire Emblem: The Blazing Blade, and I love this one.
Oh yeah, that's the one with Lynn that you started with. Yeah,
Lynn, Hector, and then Roy's dad. Eliwood.
Eliwood, yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, this one this one is one of my favorite Fire Emblem games.
Yeah.
Just 'cause, and I love that the Game Boy style graphics, those pixelated graphics. I think they're so cool.
Yeah, the combat animations in it are like super flashy for pixel art and everything.
Yeah.
It's super stylized and it's just so good.
Yeah, I kind of wish I'd just go back to that because I don't really like the combat animations and like the 3D ones.
Yeah, I mean,
they're just kind of like, you know, they can't really put a lot of time into the animations when they have to write all this dialogue and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this game. I love the combat. I love the characters, and then I didn't play this one until much later, but I emulated it and it was very fun. And then next is Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones.
Oh yeah.
This one's all right. Came out 2004. I'm trying to remember. It's the last one I played through, I think. So I played this on my Game Boy, also as Authentic.
Oh, yeah.
And it's super easy. It's one of the easier ones. Like you get Seth, and because you know, kind of the Fire Emblem games introduce these like paladin characters at the start of the games, and they're kind of overpowered. But then like later in the game, they kind of get like outscaled by everyone. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of just the strong unit at the start. Seth doesn't do that, so he's always just a beast throughout the game. So it makes it really easy. That Fire Emblem: The Sacred Stones.
Huh. Interesting.
It's all right. I don't like it when they do like these twin characters because it's Erica and Ephraim.
Oh yeah.
And then one's kind of like, I'm all about books and not fighting, and Ephraim's like, well, I care about swords and books are nerds. It's just they're kind of one dimensional.
Yeah.
And then the next one, it has a great villain also, Leon. He's really cool.
Yeah.
And then the next one, this is also one of my favorites, Path of Radiance for the GameCube. Came out 2005, and then Fire Emblem Radiant Dawn, its sequel, in 2007.
Yeah.
I really like these games. You haven't played them.
I have not yet.
Well, once we get to the 3DS games, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Ike. I like Ike.
And
then
doesn't like Ike.
Yeah, I like the time skip. The second one, it's really long, and I kind of like what they do because you have like these two separate. You kind of have Ike's army that you're controlling, and then whoever the girl is, I forget her name. It's gonna bug me, but yeah, you have her army too, because like the Radiant Dawn.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you kind of like fight. each other. Well, not at the very end, but there's a level where you put the two armies against each other, and that's kind of cool. Like, you get to fight your own army.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you leveled them up really good, it's used against you. Yeah, and it has one of my favorite villains in the franchise, the Black Knight.
Oh, yeah.
He's really cool. Right, and then next is the 3DS games.
Oh.
So Fire Emblem Awakening. This is probably a lot of people's first Fire Emblem game, mine included. And then Fire Emblem Fates, there's the Birthright and Conquest, and then you have Fire Emblem Three Houses. And then there's like the spin-offs we'll talk about later. But yeah, I guess we'll start with Fire Emblem Awakening since you played that one. What are your thoughts on the game?
I really enjoy it, and I feel like there are so many strong points of it that it was the perfect game for its time to come out. I want to bring up the history that it basically revived Fire Emblem from its dying state.
Yeah. Because Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, while they were good, they didn't really sell well. Like, they're super rare to get now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, but, you know, Fire Emblem on just a DS in general is just easier. And so I think that was why it was more accessible to people. And on top of that, it was just a really good game that had like really good characters. And you have Matthew Mercer as Chrom, so like, yeah, where could you go wrong with that? But yeah, the story like really sells it. It jumps all over the place, but I feel like the end product is definitely something that's worth playing for. The thing is that this is more of a problem in Fates, but there's a slight problem with like the overpowered character that you have, where you just have this one character that throughout the entire game is just your most powerful unit. Like for me, that was just like Chrom, I think. But yeah, it was still good though.
Yeah,
it was nice to see them branch out in some aspects too.
Yeah, I appreciate the story because it was the first one I played. I liked it. Then when I played the other ones, I was like, okay, Awakening's kind of like, I can see like the cracks.
Yeah.
In Awakening, like I don't really like when Fire Emblem does the like political side of things in a kingdom versus a kingdom, because I think most of the time they do that really boring.
Yeah.
And just like the time travel aspect of Awakening was really cool.
Yeah.
And we are spoiling Fire Emblem games, so sorry if you haven't played them.
Yeah, it's huge spoilers.
But there's like the time traveling, and then this character Martha appears and it turns out to be Chrom's daughter. Just like there's that emotional scene between them.
Oh yeah, that was really good though.
I think they nailed it because the first one to have a customized character was New Mystery of the Emblem.
Really?
And that was only in Japan. So for America, I think this was the first one with a customizable main character.
Right, yeah.
And I think they did it better than Fates does, because Robin, I think the customizable avatars tend to be a little bland.
Yeah.
And they're not very interesting to follow the story. But Robin, I think, works because he's not, or he and she is not really the main character. So, and you have kind of Chrom and Lucina to also bounce off, so it's kind of like, it makes this trio, and Robin's just more of like, I'll stand back and watch.
Yeah.
Like, it's more of a MacGuffin really than like the main character.
Yeah.
And I think Fates doesn't do that very well.
Yeah.
With their main character. Do you want to talk about the Fates?
Oh gosh, I have a lot to say about Fates.
You played Birthright. I played Birthright before Conquest too.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Birthright's definitely the easier one and the worst one in my opinion.
It's super boring.
Yeah, it's so boring. It's just not interesting in any aspect. And the Fate series in and of itself has introduced a lot of questionable mechanics.
Yeah.
Just the whole like support thing. There is a lot about that, and just like the things around it that were just really wrong.
Yeah.
Like I know in Japan there was this one mode called skin sharing mode. It was just even the name. It's so gross, and like, why is this in a Fire Emblem game?
They were really dipping their whole foot into like fan service and
especially with the Camilla character, which was just a walking fan service thing. But what bugs me the most isn't really as much like those glaring issues, but just the main character Corrin. He is so not needed. Like, he is literally a piece of cardboard that is there to wield a sword. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's just I I'd say Conquest is definitely the better of those.
Yeah.
And then if you want to play, what was the other one?
Revelations?
Yeah, Revelations. Like, that one's really good too, especially since, it focuses more on Azura, which is my wife.
Yeah, and a far more interesting character.
Yeah, a far more interesting character than Corrin. But yeah, Conquest is definitely more difficult in some areas and just more interesting approaching the story that way.
That side of the family is way more interesting because they're kind of perceived as like the evil dark family.
Yeah.
And you find out that a lot of them kind of don't agree with what's happening and they do want to help.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're more interesting than the other family. That's kind of just like, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, as I mentioned before though, Fates does have the huge issue of like you get that one powerful character, aka the older brother in each of the sides of like Birthright and Conquest, and they're just the most broken unit you have the entire rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like, and it's weird too because you have units that are like just the family members themselves. Like most of them have like these legendary artifact weapons that had been handed down to them, and it just makes them like, it makes them really good, but it kind of like outshines any of the other party members that you get too.
I also think, I don't know the exact numbers, but like this game just feels really bloated with its characters.
Oh my gosh, there's so many.
Like 5 family members, and each of them have 2 retainers.
Yeah.
And then there's miscellaneous characters.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's too much.
And with Revelations, you at one point, spoilers for you because I know you haven't played, but also you don't really care. In Revelations, you combine both of the families.
Oh my god!
So you have so many characters. You also have the 2 powerful sword characters that are just helping each other now, and that's like, it's so broken.
Wow!
Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that it just felt like too many characters and that weren't needed.
Yeah.
Like I like some of those characters from it, like Kaze and and Azura.
Yeah.
And overall, it just wasn't worth it. I did like the like castle building mechanic.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
That was cool, and they had like kind of like after you beat the story, there's some content you can do there.
Yeah.
And I kind of wished Fire Emblem would bring something like that back.
Yeah.
Because once you beat like 3 houses, you're just kind of like, I'll play through again, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of nice. And I did like that they introduced more like classes. Like for the Hoshido side, there was like more specific classes. Like mages weren't just mages; they're like these fan wielder things.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's the ninja class too, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's right.
Just weird miscellaneous stuff like that. But I thought it was a cool thing to tack on.
Because Awakening did have that like team up mechanic.
Yeah.
And I think it might have been Awakening that was the first to do that, and that was kind of cool, even if it was a little busted sometimes.
Yeah,
but
Fates had that too, and that was super busted.
Yeah.
Especially with the super powerful characters. But yeah, I don't know. I'm like at a standstill because the thing with the Fates series too is that it has some great music to boot with it.
Yeah.
Like, and the gameplay itself too, like the map design's a little janky and weird at parts, but it's not terrible, in my opinion. But the music is like really what carries a lot of the things too. And I know in every Fire Emblem game they do the out of combat music, and then when you get into combat, it's more intense sounding. And I felt like with Fates they did a really good job on some of the pieces there, which they do for all the games, but I felt like Fate had to get a special mention just for some of its tracks.
Yeah, I like Fire Emblem's music, and Fate's had some good tracks.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know. Should we save 3 houses for like last?
Yeah.
Since it's the best one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, have you played? Have you played any of the older ones at all, or is it just the 3DS?
I played the Blazing Blade. I started it, and I could only ever start it because I was emulating it through an app on my phone. But it'd be taken down a lot, so I could never like really get too far in that game. But I did have a lot of fun with it. I did play the remake of Gaiden.
Yeah, Shadows of Valentia.
Yeah, Shadows of Valentia.
That wasn't not on the list because remakes are separate from that. So yeah, we didn't mention those.
Okay, yeah. Did you want to mention those? Or?
Yeah, we just have Shadow Dragon and then New Mystery of the Emblem, and then Shadows of Valentia.
Yeah.
Which is the remake to Gaiden.
Yeah, Shadows of Valentia was kind of strange. It
Yeah.
introduced a lot of like really bad mechanics.
Yeah, I didn't like it very much.
Yeah, I thought the story was interesting, and that song at the end, like that song at the end, that like really made the last fight. But there was also just this stupid mechanics, like that magic like costs health instead of
Yeah.
like a charge of the book or whatever. It costed health, or just doing like any magic, even healing someone else costed health. And it was just so strange. And then there was like you'd get fatigued if you didn't eat.
Yeah.
But you could only have one slot in your inventory at all times, so I just equip everyone except for a few certain people with like an orange or something.
Yeah.
And it was just like so stupid.
Yeah, there's that like dungeon crawling mechanic, which I was not a fan of.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of that either. I would just do my best to run through everything because I was just so sick of the dungeons at one
I
point.
didn't like it when you hit someone. It's like
Yeah, and then it just
It was-
goes into battle. Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's get this over with.
Yeah.
I like the map world is that was one thing. I guess what Sacred Stones introduced, like that open world. Well, not really open world, because like the map where you can choose levels and stuff.
Yeah.
That was a really cool addition. I think
Yeah.
Shadows of Valentia kind of has a cool map.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But I didn't like some of the mechanics, and I think they made it so you have your percentage on how what chance you have of actually hitting the opponent.
Yeah.
And in pretty much all the Fire Emblem games, it lies to you because you actually have a higher percentage of hitting them.
Yeah.
And I think Shadows of Valentia is the one that's like actually doesn't lie to you, which could be
Yeah.
respectful, I guess, but it makes
Yeah.
it feel like your units miss a lot more.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
pretty frustrating.
However, I will say that the animations for Shadows of Valentia were a lot better. Instead of like the weird like standing there whenever you enter a fight and then each person does their turn, each person in Shadows of Valentia is like charging at each other, and then their moves against each other are just so
Yeah.
fluid.
Yeah.
And like if they miss or like they dodge an attack, they like actually like do that mid combat, and it just looks like they're actually in a fight.
Mhm.
Like I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But one thing I did not like, going back to the mechanics that they added, is there's this one thing that they always have, is where there's just this stupid enemy that keeps spawning enemies.
Yeah, I
That
know.
is whoever invented that mechanic should not work there anymore. That is like the worst mechanic you could ever have. That was so stupid.
Yeah, I remember being pretty frustrated about
Yeah.
that. Those guys, because then you just get swarmed, and
Yeah.
you like at the moment you kill the whatever was summoned, then another wave comes.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like impossible to get to whoever's summoning them.
It's just such a cheap way to add difficulty. Just be
Yeah.
like, yeah, this guy summons units too.
Yeah, it's just super cheap. It's not fun.
Hmm.
But yeah, overall it's decent. In my
Alm and
opinion.
Celica are they're not even brother and sister, but
Yeah.
they're fine quote brother and sister.
But they're
I'll-
lovers, kind of.
Yeah, I guess boy and girl.
Yeah.
Those protagonists.
Yeah, and you get to like play with each of their respective armies up until the end, where they join forces, which I thought was kind of nice at the last stage, which was pretty difficult.
Yeah, the
But-
last stage I had some trouble on. I do like how there is some, the post game content that you can play, and you can find Grima.
Oh yeah.
Which I tried to do, and I got to Grima, then died. Then I just didn't have the motivation to go back and run through the dungeon again and get to him.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Right, yeah, I think that's kind of cool. That was kind of a fun way to tie it to Awakening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely not my favorite. I guess it's better than Fates. Like
Yeah.
the story I was a little more interested in.
Yeah.
And at least Alm is more interesting than Corrin.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I guess back to Blazing Blade.
Yeah.
So yeah, I this game I think everyone should play if they're playing Fire Emblem.
Definitely.
It's so good, and
Yeah.
I love the story in it. How this like cult is trying to bring back the dragons and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's super fun, and just the main characters are cool. You can also like replay the stories through Hector's perspective and then Ellie Wood's perspective, and there's that replayability there.
Yeah.
I didn't do that but I just played through the main story. But
Yeah.
it does have your player character I think I don't remember his name. His name's like Mark or something.
Yeah, it's Mark.
Yeah. His canon name. And Lynn finds you and is like, wake up. And so you technically are a character in the game, but you're just this tactician. So you just stay back, and that's like their in-game explanation for it. You moving the units around.
Yeah. Which I think was pretty clever.
Yeah. It's just funny whenever the battle starts and you see your guy run away.
Yeah.
So you can command.
Yeah. Pretty funny.
Yeah. Those Game Boy games, though, I feel like the support system is so hard to actually unlock, because I think you just make them fight next to each other like the other ones.
Yeah.
But it always felt like I never unlocked them, and then you'd have to talk in battle.
Yeah.
So you can't I don't think there was a menu thing until like Path of Radiance. Which I guess moving on to, because I want to talk about those games. Path of Radiance.
Yeah.
So these games are another one I think everyone should play. Radiant Dawn is pretty long. I think it's one of the longest Fire Emblem games.
Oh wow, yeah.
And they're so fun, and I just like that the game. I prefer, I like the pixelation of the Game Boy graphics and stuff. I love that, but just seeing like the characters actually standing there, like in their 3D space, and like the maps were slightly smaller. I just liked that a lot more than what they did with the 3DS. Like with 3 houses, I think they nailed it. So it's kind of similar to that, with like the models actually standing there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just really liked that game, and all the characters felt like they had involvement in the story, and they weren't just side characters. Same with Blazing Blade. I think side characters are a really hard thing to juggle.
They are, yeah.
In the Fire Emblem games, I think Blazing Blade and Path of Radiance do them really well, where they actually feel like a part of the story, and like they're actual characters that make a difference.
Yeah.
And not just there to be another unit.
Yeah.
And that's super cool.
Yeah.
And also, I like Ike as a main character because he's not a lord. Like, he eventually becomes a lord, but he's just a mercenary guy. Like,
yeah, it's like the first time in a while or forever that there's like someone that isn't a lord.
It really sets him apart from the other protagonists of Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
And then, Sacred Stones, like I said, I don't have too much to say about Sacred Stones. It's like, I like the villain, and it was, I guess like the Game Boy era of games, of Fire Emblem games. And then, going back down, so I guess Shadow Dragon was the other game I played as a remake. And as a remake, it's fine. Like, I don't know. It's funny because in that game, I'm going to be bold and say this was the first game to introduce it.
Oh.
And so, the mechanic of, normally you'd have your troops and they have their classes, and you just level them up with that classes, and then you can upgrade them to a better version of that class.
Yeah.
But in Shadow Dragon, you can like reclass someone. So Gagan, who's like a paladin, could reclass into a mage. Like, you probably don't want to do that, but that's kind of fun. And then Shadows of Valentia, that's another thing, because they have that mechanic where it's like they start as like a peasant.
Yeah.
Some characters start as like a peasant, and then you can kind of choose what you want them to be, and they kind of have hints like, I want to learn magic and stuff.
Yeah.
So you should probably make that person a mage. But I think that's what Fire Emblem should have been a long time, is units that are nothing, and you just transform them into anything.
Oh, definitely.
And once we get to it, but 3 Houses does that really well.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah, I thought in Shadows of Valentia that it was a little funny at first seeing them, but it was a really interesting change that you could do, is having them just all be whatever you want. Like,
Yeah, I think that really adds just a lot of replayability to that.
Yeah.
Just kind of get fun building a weird army.
Yeah. Yeah.
But back to where was I? Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, Sacred Stones. I really want to play the Binding Blade. If you could play any of these, which one would you want to play?
Oh, I would really want to finish Blazing Blade.
Yeah.
Like, just replay that and just finish it. But also the Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, those sound really interesting.
Yeah, those are really cool.
Yeah. Before
some great voice acting in
Yeah.
those games.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It just adds to the charm.
Yeah. Before we get on to 3 Houses, though, there's one more game I want to talk about, and that is Fire Emblem Heroes.
The mobile game, of course.
I think that honestly, it is a great way of roping people into Fire Emblem.
I guess that was technically my first one.
Yeah, it's a gotcha game because and you know, there's so many characters in Fire Emblem that
Yeah.
like, of course it is, but it's still like pretty. You still have to be pretty strategic on it.
Yeah.
And it's still it's pretty fun, you know, to play and just goof around with. You can kind of just make like everyone has their own set class, but you can give them like the custom weapons and whatnot. So it's a pretty fun mobile experience, and it's a good way of like getting into older games. I feel like if you don't really know the characters from that, you can kind of get a feel for them and what they're like.
Yeah.
In that.
This is great. We don't talk about mobile games, but
Yeah.
for all you mobile gamers out there. Yeah, I think the game was cool when it first came out, and there was like kind of this core set of characters, and they just kept adding characters and different versions of characters.
Yeah.
Which were essentially just skins, and things just got more powerful and better.
Yeah.
And then
Oh yeah,
there
don't
was
get
so
me
much
wrong.
stuff, and what it's turned into now, it's like just like this is so bloated.
Yeah, don't get me
And
wrong.
it's a
not
gotcha
like,
game,
Yeah,
so-
when I said gotcha game, I like meant gotcha game. Like it, it is very bloated now. Like there's so much to it. They added like this building part where you could like build stuff, and it's just there's just so much weird stuff to it.
Yeah.
If you're really into like just like maxing out or just like having those characters though, then you might like it, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really the only upside, is that you can kind of branch out and like discover what new characters are about.
Hmm.
But
Since we're on the topic of spin-offs, did you play Fire Emblem Warriors?
Warriors, I did. I
Yeah.
did play that. Yeah, probably almost as boring as Corrin. Where the protagonists were almost as boring as
my-
Corrin.
I hate that
Yeah.
game story.
Yeah, that game, you do not play it for the story.
Yeah.
You play it for the gameplay, and the gameplay it's all right.
Yeah, if you like that hack and slash game, like I had pretty much a lot of fun with it, but everything kind of feels weightless, and
Yeah.
it's kind of you're just hitting faceless enemies, and it's if you like it, yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely interesting to see the roster of characters that did make it into the game. They're kind of strange.
Yeah, I think it's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
because it is kind of just the 3DS era, and then Marth.
Yeah.
Like, where's
yeah.
Where's Roy? Where's Ike? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It just didn't feel like this is the crossover Fire Emblem.
Yeah, it just it felt like, yeah, you recognize Marth? Well, too bad. You're not going to get a whole lot of
Yeah,
him.
it just shows up at the end.
Yeah.
And then Lynn was in it, but as like a DLC or
Oh, really?
a side thing. I don't think it was a DLC. I think you had to do like a side
Yeah.
mission to unlock her as a unit. It's kind of cool though, because Lynn had her animations from the Game Boy games. Like
Yeah.
she splits her part into like 5 people, but it's in 3D. So that's kind of cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
I guess Fire Emblem Warriors has the best animations.
Yeah.
That's kind of what they focus on.
Yeah, yeah.
Is the fighting.
Yeah.
And then 3 Hopes just came out. And
Three Hopes, oh, yeah.
I haven't gotten that, but I do want to get that sometime. But now
Yeah.
Warriors, like the Dynasty Warriors gameplay, just kind of not
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah, not for me either.
Hmm.
Well,
I do want to play Thracia and Genealogy though, just because they're so different, and I kind of like what I
definitely.
experience in Genealogy. I don't really have an interest in going back to the really old games.
Yeah.
I do want to play New Mystery of the Emblem, but it isn't. Since it's a Japanese release, it's only in Japan.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it's only in Japanese. Like I have the game, but I'd have to learn Japanese to understand what's going on.
yeah, kind of ruins the story aspect of that.
Yeah, maybe I can just guess from their facial expressions.
Yeah.
They're so expressive.
Yeah, and if you haven't like guessed with Fire Emblem games, the story is usually a very large aspect of it.
Mhm.
I mean, it's kind of a given because it's a tactical RPG. It's more going to be more story oriented, I guess. But
Yeah.
with Fire Emblem, they kind of have unique story bits on each of them. Well,
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah, the good ones tend to set them apart.
Yeah,
And usually involving some Fire Emblem.
yeah, and a dragon at
And a
the end.
dragon. They always got to throw a dragon at the end.
Yeah.
I guess, do you want to talk about Three Houses?
We could talk about Three Houses.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, dude.
Three Houses is definitely the best in all of our opinions.
Yeah, when I first played, I was like, I don't know, maybe I like Path of Radiance, but no, it's the best one.
Yeah.
They really nailed the formula of Fire Emblem. I think there's stuff they can improve on, like the
Yeah,
combat
yeah.
animations, but
Yeah.
and it's interesting because this game is really, it kind of like. It is kind of like Fate's Conquest and Revelations, where there's like branching paths, but it's sold in one game.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a little better
Yeah.
in that aspect. And it's one of those. The stories is one of those. I was shocked because I don't really like when Fire Emblem does like, oh, this kingdom doesn't like this kingdom, and then there's generals that you fight, and then it's just the kingdom you fight, because I think they do that really boring.
Yeah.
But this one, just having like these perspectives
Yeah.
makes it a lot more interesting and kind of grounds this war.
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like it's kind of just like what this war's done with to like your classmates essentially.
Yeah, you like raise them from your classmates, and then this big event happens, the whole Edelgard thing where she has her own empire.
Yeah.
And there's a huge war. Yeah, it's a really interesting thing to go on. And it's interesting to see how the main character, who starts out the game and like literally is just a piece of cardboard, just emotionless.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's his or her character, is that they're just emotionless.
Yeah.
And like don't really react to things, and they kind of gain their humanity through their classmates or whatever, like who they're teaching. Which is a really interesting aspect, but it's really interesting to see it from that perspective as well as your own, going into each like side of the war, each faction, you could say.
Yeah, and because it does like the Fire Emblem Birthright so if you have like a S tier relationship with Kaze, he survives. And if you don't, he dies.
Really?
And it's really shoehorned in that game, I think, because it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But in this game does it pretty cool, because if you have the Edelgard S tier relationship, or A tier, I don't remember. I think it's S tier. And then she asks you to join her, and you kind of get this secret path where you can be the Empire.
Yeah, yeah.
Then that's really cool. I like what they do there. And then if you do the Blue Lions, and there's this one character that you need a high enough relationship with, and if you don't have that, he's just dead.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, I like that the relationships is actually intertwined with like what happens in the story.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I played Edelgard's story first, loved it. It's a little short.
Yeah.
And then I played Blue Lions, and it's just whenever I finish one, I'm like, wow, that's so good. I don't feel like playing the other ones because how could they be better? And I played Blue Lions and I loved it. Yeah. And then I did Verdant Wind, the
other one, the Golden Deers.
Yeah, the Golden Deers.
Yeah.
It's called Verdant Wind. And that one was really good.
Yeah.
And just having all those stories be so different but like so good is so nice to see.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's really great, like how fleshed out the characters are throughout each of them too. And just seeing, like, going back, we kind of mentioned it before, is the whole class system in the game, where you can literally make anyone anything,
and that's kind of what the game is like focused around.
Yeah,
is like because you are in school, like you're literally building up these units, and you get to train them and send them on little missions and stuff.
Yeah,
it's just super cool.
Yeah, they added the like brawler class, which I thought was hilarious. So just making someone it's always just funny.
They have like the squad armies thing.
Oh yeah,
and that was interesting.
Yeah, that was an interesting mechanic that they added.
Yeah, and I just loved like the monastery and running around and talking, having lunch with people.
Yeah, having lunch, or just kind of like just getting a feel for the place and just discovering all that's hidden in it. It's really nice. It's kind of refreshing, and it feels like you're not just like at some random place. It's like kind of a homey type place. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's always events that like happen inside the monastery that you can attend and stuff. It's really interesting. One of my favorites is like you can attend like the ball or whatever and like assign one of your students to that, and then they unlock the dancer class that way. Through attending the ball. Like I thought that was really interesting. But yeah. Now, as for the main story itself, there's like the Sophis that's inside of you.
Yeah.
I really like her personality, and just that like there's like the relic weapon for each like house or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the top dogs.
Yeah.
Like I thought that was really interesting too, and it's really interesting too. I know I've said that word a million times.
It's
but
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, but it is. But like when you really get into the lore of not just Fire Emblem but Three Houses too, like there's so much to learn there, and like some parts of the main story you're kind of like on your first playthrough you're like, huh?
Yeah.
But then like once you play more and learn more about the story from the other perspectives, then you're like, oh, this is really cool actually.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that in any game.
Yeah, that's a really smart way to do things, is spread out the lore between the games, or between the paths, because then that makes you want to play it.
Yeah.
It also has a really good DLC.
Oh yeah, I haven't played that yet, but
with a cool villain.
yeah.
Yeah, Three Houses, man, the music too.
Oh my
is so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know what they're gonna do for if they come out with another one, because just being in a school feels so specific.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I'm sure they'll find a way, but what are they gonna do for teaching your units? Because I want to see that again.
Yeah, yeah.
Like building up your army and training them.
Yeah.
Like I had the idea they could do like a mercenary camp maybe, and you train mercenaries to be a part of your mercenary group.
Yeah, maybe.
But
That's definitely an option. Yeah.
I would like to see the castle building mechanic come back, but kind of in like the 3D landscape of Three Houses. So you kind of run around and maybe start construction on something and get materials and stuff and build it up.
Yeah, make it more fleshed out than it was in Fates.
Yeah. And then you can unlock new activities and stuff. I'd like to see something like that.
Yeah, that could be cool.
I don't know what they're going to do to Top Three Houses. I don't think you can do a sequel.
Yeah.
Just with all the branching paths.
Yeah.
Because then you either need to define, well, this is the canon path, or make separate starts to the game.
Oh my gosh, that would be crazy.
Yeah, because then it's just essentially just different games all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, Three Houses it has like that Persona feel where you kind of like have to plan out your week and you can only do a certain number of actions throughout the day.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just works really well.
Yeah, it's a really good mechanic.
Oh yeah, and it also had like the big beast units too.
Oh yeah,
that was cool because it really felt like you had to use everyone against this thing.
Yeah.
Because it had multiple health bars and stuff like that. You had to break it and break its armor and stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was such a cool mechanic, and the beasts themselves had some really good designs. In fact, there was a lot of just things in the Three Houses that just had great designs.
And they were also super weird, like the dubstep and
the
those who slither in the dark.
Yeah, the weird dubstep land. Yeah. It was strange. That'd be my only gripe, is like it was just so out of nowhere.
Yeah, it didn't really fit in with the rest of that style.
Yeah. But yeah, the whole beast thing was still really cool to me though.
Yeah, that was a fun unit to add in.
Yeah.
What's your out of all the Fire Emblem games you played, who's your favorite protagonist?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna say Azura.
Yeah.
But
and let's talk about main character.
Main characters.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, man, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's kind of difficult because I would say, like in Blazing Blade, there isn't like the protagonist is like.
I would say, I mean, like Lynn's kind of in your introduction, but it's really Eliwood's story.
Really?
But I would count that. Like you could say, an Awakening is not like Chrom is kind of the protagonist, but I would count them all as the protagonist, like Robin, Chrom, Lucina, and then Eliwood, Hector, and Lynn. So if you just want to pick from those, I would.
Lucina would probably be my favorite in that case then, because I just feel like she has a really interesting story, and it's played by one of my favorite voice actors too. And she's just like become such an iconic character too, I feel like.
Yeah, she's definitely a fan favorite.
Yeah. So yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I like Lucina. I would have to probably say Ike though.
Yeah.
I'm an Ike guy.
Yeah.
I like him.
I
And
can't
plus,
blame you for that.
I like the Radiant Dawn when he grows up and he's just so sexy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah, I feel like the stronger games definitely set up their protagonists a lot better.
Yeah.
You can kind of see evidence of that. Where it flops is because in Fates they didn't. I mean, you could argue that there was kind of a protagonist, but like,
She definitely is.
yeah, but not a main
She's very
one.
much a support to Corrin.
Yeah, which is kind of disappointing, but yeah.
I do like myself some Hector though.
Oh yeah.
Hector's fun.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And what villain do you like?
Oh, villains. Well, taking in mind that most of the villains, like endgame villains, are just big dragons.
Yeah.
it's kind of like harder to think on that. But if I were to pick one, it was like, I thought that Nemesis was pretty cool from Three Houses, even though I never really did that arc. I just thought he was a really cool villain to have, to add. But I also like in Fates of all things, there was like the dad or whatever.
Yeah.
Like your dad or whatever is just like corrupt and evil. I thought like they just did his ruthlessness. They got that like on point.
Yeah. That was interesting because like in Conquest the family would be like,
Yeah.
they'd say like, he was our dad once.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Well, we don't know what happened to him, but
Yeah. But I also really like Grima and the whole twist of that being Grima that is Robin,
Yeah.
who you play as. I
Yeah.
thought that was a cool twist, and just Grima himself is just such a badass looking like dragon.
yeah, it's very apocalyptic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like
really
Grima
is.
a lot,
Yeah.
but yeah, Black Knight I like.
Black Knight's probably your
Or
favorite.
Zelgius. I don't know. I think Grima's my favorite just because it's so otherworldly and
Yeah.
apocalyptic, like I said. And
Yeah.
it's just cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's just kind of a big beast.
Big beast. Yeah.
Well, very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess anything else you want to say about Fire Emblem?
Not a whole lot to say. I know there are so many, or I shouldn't say so many. There's a sizable amount of Fire Emblem characters in Smash, and
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy to see that like how it's grown over the years as a franchise, and now
Yeah.
they're adding them. I know a lot of other people are not.
Yeah.
But shut up. I'm just happy that franchise was revived from the point that it was in, and that people are starting to recognize it now.
Yeah, and Three Houses did super well. So
Yeah, and Three Houses, yeah, it did such a good job.
Didn't get nominated for Game of the Year, though.
Oh, yeah, that was unfortunate. But, yeah.
Tragic.
I've just loved it, Fire Emblem as a series for so long now. And I had a friend that I'd talk on the bus all the time with about it. And then, of course, I got you into it. So, yeah, it's definitely one of, like, the closest series to me.
Yeah, I love those games. That's kind of like the only reason I have a Switch now is for those Fire Emblem games.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they're fun. Well, I guess we'll start wrapping things up.
Yeah, a bit of a shorter one today.
Did you you didn't. I played Tokyo Mirage, the Fire Emblem Shin Megami Tensei
Oh, yeah.
crossover. I didn't
Yeah.
finish it because it's pretty boring.
Yeah.
And the Fire Emblem characters don't even look like they're Fire Emblem characters.
Yeah, they just have the same names.
Yeah. Like you can kind of tell, like, oh, maybe that's Chrom, but it kind of looks a little scary.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a weird crossover. But, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll end this with a little recommendation. It's my turn?
Yes, it is your turn.
Yeah. I'm going to recommend Three Houses.
All right.
And for all the reasons we listed.
Dude,
it's the best
yes.
Fire Emblem game, one of the best Switch games. And
Yeah.
if you think you might not like that top-down strategic kind of RPG game, like style of game, just maybe give it a try.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I thought I wouldn't like that, but I like it now.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, a bit of a shorter one today.
Yeah.
Next week, we don't know what we'll talk about, but Tyler will be back.
Tyler will be back.
He was missed.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll bring some thoughts on the Fire Emblem franchise
Yeah.
with the little games he's played.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Let us know what you think of the Fire Emblem franchise.
Yeah, definitely.
And your favorite characters, your least favorite characters, your favorite games, and your least favorite
Oh, definitely
games.
give your reasons for your favorite characters too.
Mm-hmm.
I like to tear into those and just argue over it.
Yes, Mathurin will argue with you.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to send us anything, we have an email, checkpointcornerpod@gmail.com. If you want to leave a nice review, that would help us out a lot. We'll see you next week, hopefully. Thanks again for listening. Thanks for
Yeah.
being here, Mathurin.
Yeah, of
and
course.
talking about a great game franchise.
Of course.
All right, we'll see you next week, everyone.
Howdy doodle.
Bye.